Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. Companies to watch.
Okay, we've made it to the end of the week and it's time for my favorite segment.
Is it, Ryan?
With Devilish Dan.
Ooh.
Because we are going to be talking something about devils, like
Yeah, and something
Red
like
devils.
Red Ryan.
So
Yeah.
together, that
We-
kind of gives a bit of a clue into what we'll be getting into.
Yeah, Red Ryan, Devil Dan. I think you kind of have an idea of what we're talking about, but welcome to Companies to Watch. That's a segment where we spotlight and stock you up with ideas of listed companies that will call for your attention. So we're looking at market trends to risks, hidden gems or warning signs to steer clear of. 8855-0893, be part of the conversation. Text us whether you think it's going to be hot or not. This one's pretty hot right now, Ryan.
Yep. Let's kick it off.
We're talking about the Red Devils. Manchester United PLC. It's a publicly listed holding company that fully owns the Manchester United Football Club. Now, they're one of the most popular sporting clubs in the entire world with a huge fan following. But here's the caveat. Their finances speak of a completely different story. And they've also begun to reflect on the stock price performance. I mean, as we've seen, it's fallen about 18% year to date, trading at $13.89. Are you a huge fan of the Red Devils?
I have to admit, I was actually a fan of Man U back in the day when Eric Cantona was still playing.
Yeah.
And after he left, I kind of went on to Liverpool. Yeah, so
Man,
that was
you're old, right?
that was a really long time ago. But not a lot of people realize Man U is listed. I think at IPO price of $14. They are pretty much at the same place right now. So they haven't really gone anywhere in terms of the stock price.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, having started from like the lows, it seems like they're stagnating at their current share price. And yes, shares of Manchester United had fallen even further after the club's final chance at silverware this season had vanished with a 1-0 defeat to Tottenham Hotspur. And more importantly for investors than a trophy, the team also missed out on a berth in next season's Champions League that would have been worth an estimated $100 million. It will be a boost to the club's finances, that's without doubt. So the loss is sure to affect summer transfer plans as manager Ruben Amorim looks to revamp his squad after what in past seasons would have been a battle to avoid his relegation. So Amorim has offered to quit the soccer giant without any compensation if the club wants to sack him after losing the Europa League final.
A bit sad. Man U are really falling from those glory days.
Exactly. So it's hard to see whether hope is just around the corner for them. And just last year, publicly traded Manchester United generated about $777.1 million in revenue. That's actually down from the prior 2 years. So before diving into the headwinds and tailwinds of Manchester United, one factor that needs to be kept in mind is that the sports industry and where the key factor that determines success for the franchise is essentially the fan base. That makes a lot of sense, right?
Kind of makes sense, yeah. So if they've got a big fan base around the world, probably one of the most well-supported clubs.
So even though, they've not really had a great run in the past few decades, we have to understand that they still have a significant fan base across the world since they are the joint most successful team in terms of titles won. So here are some factors that affects Manchester United stock prices. The first one, of course, team performance. So if you look at how they've been performing so far, it shows in their finances based on, how well they performed. Because after all, success on the pitch can increase revenue from broadcasting rights, sponsorships and merchandise, which has a positive impact on the stock price. Now, the second one that would affect their stock price would be changes in management and ownership. So talks of having to replace Ruben might just provide further volatility into its stock price. And that doesn't really look too good for the Red Devils because ever since Alex Ferguson retired back in 2013, after serving Manchester United for 26 years, there have been a total of 10 managers for almost a decade, Ryan.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of similar. Markets love certainty and stability. So having this revolving door for managers has not been great for Man U.
Exactly. So just like markets, we would love some certainty in the lines of football as well. So economic trends, of course, that would also affect, its stock price. But let's dive a little deeper into its poor performance. The last time they had won a title in the English Premier League was back in 2012 to 2013, Ryan.
That's pretty much when Sir Alex Ferguson left.
Exactly, 13 years ago. So it's been on a downward trend. And even with the poor run, I mean, they still remain one of the most popular teams. But it just seems like while they might have a significant fan base among the current youth, with already 12 years of failure behind them, it is likely that they might lose their foothold among the youth as with time, the youth composition changes.
Yeah, it's a bit of a spiral downwards because with the lack of money, or at least not as much as before, they can't sign the bigger players. So I think a lot of people now struggle to identify any names on the team.
Exactly. And in recent times, one of the best performing teams has been Manchester City, which has won 6 out of the last 8 seasons that have taken place. So it is perhaps no surprise that Manchester City is now the second most popular team in terms of total social media following. And it also doesn't help that Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim admitted that his team deserved to be booed after they suffered a fresh embarrassment in losing 1-0 to a Southeast Asian 11 in Kuala Lumpur. That's just quite recently, I think about 2 days ago, May 28th, in front of over 70,000 football fans.
Yeah,
Imagine
I think
that.
even the Prime Minister, Anwar Ibrahim, also went to snipe him, saying that it might deserve to be relegated.
Yeah, that was a bit strange, honestly speaking. But yeah, the Red Devils, who finished 15th in the English Premier League for their worst season since 1974, they did look lethargic during the first stop of their Asian tour, and it does really put a stain on their name, if I'm being honest. But the reason for having such emphasis on the popularity of the clubs is that it directly impacts the revenue of Man U on merchandise and retail. So it indirectly impacts the revenue source of sponsorships. Sponsors would often flock to those clubs which offer significant fan following, as it provides a healthy advertisement opportunity for these companies. So the poor performance is also likely to directly impact the revenues from broadcasting rights as well. So the performance of Man U impacts whether they can qualify for the Champions League as well. So apart from this, one of the major financial issues highlighted for Man U is the very high debt that they've taken up as well, and how it's been eating into their profits. And this is the primary reason as to why there is a significant wedge between the operating profit margin as well as the net profit margin.
Yeah, this has been an issue for a long time since the Glazers took over. So
Exactly.
part of the whole financial mechanism. So it's kind of been burdened by that.
It is very technical. But if we note back about 10 years ago in 2015, Man U sold $425 million worth of bonds in the US private placement market. Now the debt is coming up for repayment in 2027. And it doesn't necessarily come as good news because when Man U issued this debt, they took it at a fixed rate of 3.79%. That's when the benchmark rates were low. But now, if they want to repay this debt, they will have to issue more debt when the repayment costs are higher.
Yeah, it's not working out.
It's all right across the screen, right, basically. But yeah, so all in all, the club's declining performance in the EPL and failure to consistently qualify for Champions League have hurt its broadcasting, sponsorship and merchandise revenues. It doesn't really look too good for them. I'm going to go with a nod.
Yeah, I'm not a super fan of Man U, so on both fronts, it's a no for me.
Who are you supporting now?
These days, Liverpool.
Wow,
But
different red.
Even then, EPL, not as much allure as before for me.
Yeah.
So I've been staying away. So industry-wide, to some degree, also not that great.
All right, thanks a lot for that. And that pretty much wraps it for our analysis of today's Stock in Focus menu. Now, Ryan, did you know when the club was formed back in 1878, they had a different name? You know what it was called?
Was it red something?
No, there's no red in it actually.
Something, Manchester something?
No, not even a Manchester. Newton Heath LYR.
Oh.
And they actually played in green and gold. So they changed their name to Manchester United in 1902, slightly more than a century ago. So we know that the club has a devilish mascot. But what's his name?
The name of the mascot?
Yeah, you know the devil on the I think
Nicholas?
Nicholas?
Say Nix, you know.
Okay. No, he's called Fred the Red. The team has been known as the Red Devils since the 1960s.
I think you can tell I'm not a fan.
Yeah. So what's the difference between a triangle and a Manchester United?
And then corners? Something about corners?
A triangle has 3 points. Okay. All right. One last one, right? What do you call a bunch of shirtless hooligans?
Super fans.
Men, chest, hair, United. And that's all we have for menu.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.